Good afternoon. This is our hour. Can you envision Roger sitting next to me? Our next installment of our journey, our self-discovery 2021. A Journey of Self-Discovery 2021, I think is the correct title. I'm making a video by myself because he's out of town, and he and I are getting ready to take a extended 3-week, I think it's a 3-week trip out to Whidbey Island to bury my sister and her doggie, their ashes. Susan passed in 2017, and I don't think Ziggy passed until late 2018, maybe early 2019. Is when Michael finally put him down, and he was like 15, 16 years old. So yeah, we're going out there, and then we're staying 8 nights in a cabin in Montana. Yeah, to spend time with each other and to take a break from our normal busy lives and come back and be ready to really move forward with Amelia's and getting Amelia's open. So I just started writing. We have come across another book. This book. I came across this book. I love this gal. She's called The Holistic Psychologist. And I have watched her grow over the last, 2 years, just exponentially. And a gal, a previous client asked me what I thought of this book. And I said, if there was ever a book that I could teach you everything that I know, that I didn't write the book, this would be the book. This would be the book. How to do the work, recognize your patterns, heal from your past, and create yourself. And my mom always used the term reinventing herself. She did that quite often. I think I do that quite often. Susan, my sister, did that quite often. Katerina, my daughter, has been in this place of doing that. And I think my boys are doing that. And maybe we're all doing that. That we're all, we change and life changes, and we have an ebb and flow to our lives and who we are and what we're doing. And I have my incense and my smudge stick burning. This one, I really like this one. Whatever the smell is. I buy incense and they go in that little plastic bag, and then I don't write the name on them, so I don't remember. So we are still working in this book as well, and I just bought Roger his own copy because we're both book writers, meaning we write in our books. I just got these 2 books that I'm really interested in reading. Healing the Fragmented Selves of Trauma Survivors. Overcoming Internal Self-Alienation. Never really thought of that. I don't know that I have self-alienation, but I'm interested to get into this book. Very small print, so it's going to be very interesting reading. And this one is more of a textbook that I got that I'm going to start on our trip. And it's The Impact of Early Life Trauma on Health and Disease, the Hidden Epidemic. I think that's very pertinent to me and my life and my whole autoimmune stuff, and my sisters as well. There's generational healing that happens as we do our emotional work. Then my children don't have to do as much work. I think that's how that works, how that all goes. So I wanted to read a little bit of what I have written, and some of this is out of this Nicole's book. So when we change our relationship with our thoughts, we change the cascade of emotions that floods our bodies and persuades us to act in certain ways. So that's what Roger and I are doing in this year, is changing our relationship with our thoughts and our old thoughts that are based in old conditioning from trauma. And coming up to this year, probably in October, November of last year, we really started looking at what we wanted to do this year as far as our relationship went. And we both knew that it was not what we wanted it to be. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get a shift made. I couldn't get unstuck, so to speak, in that area. I'm flying in all other areas, changing my career, all kinds of things. I'm writing. I'm actually going to publish a book this year, so I'm really happy about that. So when we change our relationship with our thoughts, we change the cascade of emotions that floods our bodies and persuades us to act in certain ways. So we have to go back in this year and look at what happened to us as kids and how we learned to be in relationship. It wasn't healthy, to say the least. I came from alcoholic parents until 6th grade. Then they quit drinking. I came from sexual abuse, trauma. First started at the babysitter's house in Englewood, Colorado, where we grew up. And so those people, those adults in my life, and when you look at how much time is spent at a babysitter's house while the parents are working, or at a daycare, now they call them daycares. This is just a woman that lived down the street that had like 35 kids that she watched of a day. You have to look at how we bond with those people that are in charge of us, that take care of us. So the next thing Nicole says is, most of us have problematic relationship dynamics in some part of our lives, whether with family, partners, friends, or colleagues. So being able to engage in a new, healthier dynamic with a partner can be profoundly healing. And what I ended up doing here this afternoon was, I think, coming up with our focus, with my focus and my aim. Roger's not here at the moment, and I haven't shared this with him yet. But part of that is I am wanting to create a healthier dynamic, not only with myself, but with him. And one that's not based from the trauma. So most of us have problematic relationship dynamics in some part of our lives. I think that's true. Not many of us really got some good parenting on relationships and communication especially. And then if we had parents that drank, or just were absent, if you've got a dad that always stops at the corner bar before he comes home, if you have parents that don't hold true to their word, if they say I ran into that with my mother, who suffered agoraphobia. She would be very excited, and me now being 56 years old and looking back at my childhood, can understand and meet her with compassion, even though she's no longer here. But I can meet the whole idea of her life with more compassion now than I could when I was 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And she would be all excited, and I can see from her perspective now that she would be all excited, feeling really good in the morning, saying, oh yeah, we're going to go do this thing. And then when Susan and I got home from school, she would be 3 sheets in the wind, and we wouldn't be going anywhere. Whereas Susan and I and I think that went on for quite a while, where we continually kept up the cycle of being excited and really, thinking all day long, oh wow, we get to go do this when we get home, and then coming home and then being disappointed, and having that play out all the time. And in my head I was like, well, eventually you would just not trust what your mother says. So there's that trust thing. How we show up in our relationships is really emblematic of our general wellness and often indicates how we show up in life. So let me read that one again. Nicole says, how we show up in our relationships, whether that's the relationships with your children, with your parents, with your grandparents, with the clerk at Walmart, with the gal at the grocery store that works in the produce department. However we show up in our relationships is really emblematic of our general wellness and often indicates how we show up in life. So important that we start to look at those things. Relationships are an interesting thing. So she goes on to say, we incorporate the understanding that our relationships are modeled on our earliest bonds with our parent figures, an act of behavior modeling called conditioning. And we probably all learned that in general psychology in high school. So we incorporate the understanding that our relationships are modeled on our earliest bonds. So when I look at mine and Roger's relationship today, being 56 and 58 years old, and having that piece of information, knowing that our relationship today is based on how we connected to our what our conditioning was with the bonds of the people that raised us and were in charge of us and loved us and cared for us. My parents loved and cared for me. Roger's got a whole different dynamic going on in his family of origin, because his dad was abusive and his mom left all the kids, was forced to leave all the kids. They were getting a divorce and she tried to leave with the kids and that didn't happen, and he took her to court and he got custody of all the kids. So it wasn't that she left them willingly, is the point I wanted to make there. So we incorporate the understanding that our relationships are modeled on the earliest bonds with our parent figures. And when I look at that and I think of the earliest bonds that I had as a child with those people that abused me at the babysitter's house, there needs to be a do-over. I want a do-over. And I get to have a do-over because consciously being aware, Roger and I are making our do-over this year. We're doing it over. We're redoing. Really bad things happened down there. And I'm sure it wasn't just Susan and I. I'm sure it happened to every girl, boy that those people watched of a day. We took our turn in the basement with the gals. May was her name. Her husband and her son took us to the basement and did things with us. So thinking of how I bonded with those people, it's no wonder it's hard to have an intimate, loving, caring, deep, connected relationship with Roger. So what I came up with, our mission statement, this is, and Roger will have to let me know what he thinks of it. Roger and I are wanting to learn to engage in a new, healthier dynamic that is not based in the old patterns of trauma. So how do we do this? This is part of the basis for my coaching. How do you exact the change that you want to make? How do you do that? What are the steps? And then integrating those things. So how do we do this? We do this by building a new foundation based on healthy ways to interact, communicate, love one another deeply, while still knowing we are individuals that are independent and stand on our own, taking personal responsibility for our own feelings, thoughts, words, and lives. So Roger and I are wanting to learn to engage in a new, healthier dynamic that is not based in the old patterns of trauma. So we get a do-over. We get to do over. Part of building that foundation is going back and building a new relationship with our inner child. One of the first things to learn to do in a healthy way is build trust. And as we are adults, now it is about building trust with ourselves first. And again, how do we do that? Simple. Simple, not so simple. It's a paradox. Make my word law. Part of the 4 agreements. Say what I'm going to do and do what I say. Not so simple. Takes an awareness to slow down and take time to think about what I'm saying. Do I mean what I say? Is there value in my words? Do I value my words? A value in myself, and then I will value what I say and value my words. If I can't trust myself, depend on myself, rely on myself, there's no reason to try and have a healthy, thriving relationship with someone else. So this starts really at the basics of learning that trust piece over. Because as a kid, I learned how not to trust. I didn't learn how to trust because people were shady and they had secrets, and I had to keep secrets. And my mother would, say of a day, oh, we're going to do this and then that. And so I couldn't trust that. I feel like I could trust my dad and what he said. I think what he said goes. And I think he meant it. When he said something, I think Susan and I learned, dad means what he says. So we make our word law, and by making our word law, we start to teach ourselves that we can trust ourselves. I invented the shift charts that I use with clients, the 7-day, 40-day, and 100-day shift charts, and it's how to shift in or out of behavior. And as you keep track of making your word law, so say something really simple. I use this example all the time. I'm going to brush my teeth every night before I go to bed. So you need to, that's pretty succinct. So even if you're going to bed, at 11:30 one night and 6:30 the next night and 2:30 in the morning the next night, if you keep your word and you brush your teeth every night before you go to bed, at the end of those 7 days isn't that long. That's a short term. Let's try this out. See if I can do it for 7 days. And as my dad would say, even if your ass falls off, do it. Even if your ass falls off. So self-discipline. I teach self-discipline with love now. But if you do that for 40 days, and it's not about being perfect. It's not about filling in each square and being perfect. It's about starting to practice saying what you're going to do and doing what you say. And so as you do that and you start to build momentum in loving yourself and trusting yourself and knowing you can depend on yourself. And then that spreads out into all of your relationships. If you're single and you're dating and you're looking for, a partner in this life, that relationship is only going to be as strong as the relationship that you have with yourself. I'm very grateful that Roger and I are still together. Many, many, many people split and split and split and split. My sister Susan was married 3 times and had many different relationships and just couldn't keep growing with that person and healing. So it's not easy to have a relationship that is healthy and thriving and honest and caring and deep and committed and fun and full of joy and happiness. It is work. It does take work. So make your word law. Make my word law. Takes awareness to slow down, listen to myself, form my thoughts and words before I say them. As I do different, my inner child begins to trust me. She's always looking. I feel she's always looking. Like, are we going to be safe today? We're not going to be safe. Are we going over here and doing this? Or are we not going over there and doing that? Are we going to do what you said we were going to do this morning? She's in the background, always taking score, always keeping score. Nope, didn't do that today. Nope, she didn't keep her word there. Nope, we're not doing that. That's important in the relationship that we have inside ourselves. She learns a new way of depending on me to mean what I say, so she can learn to trust that I will keep her safe. Now that's my dynamic that's going on with me. Everybody, every single person has a different dynamic depending on where they find themselves today, and what your upbringing was, how old you are today, how many children you have, how many deaths you suffered, how many marriages, how many divorces. Everybody has got a different picture. That's why I love what I do, because everybody is a different puzzle. This is the first step in growing up my inner child. So I can eventually one day integrate all my parts in a healthy way. There's a book in there that I'm in the process of writing about that, because I don't think that we need to stay fragmented. And I think until we heal that inner child aspect of ourselves, we stay to a certain extent fragmented in our lives, and that then bleeds out into our relationships. So as I heal my inner child, I heal me as a person and become more whole. As Roger heals his inner child, and it's true. I had a conversation with my cousin yesterday, Stephanie, and her husband, Brett, and he mentioned, as time passes and children grow up, we have more time as adults to do this kind of work. And he was talking about specifically taking care of, self-care pieces for he and Stephanie, that they now have more time to do that. And that is true. And depending on your dynamic, you might have more time when you're 20. And, you may be listening to this, as I would love for younger people, if you know of any young people that are just starting out in life, to just listen to this series to learn some wisdom about how to do different and be different and show up in a different way. Learn how to communicate with yourself first and then your partner. I'm just kind of really excited today that Roger and I are in this place of being able to do this. And it doesn't mean that it's all easy, because it's not. It is not. And what shows up here in the videos is not all of the dynamics of feelings and emotions and frustration and anger. And I know that I still have rage inside of me. And it's much nicer now, though, to be able, as we're building this trust between ourselves, to really be able to tell Roger, wow, I had this dream and it triggered this thing, or I read that and it triggered this, and wow, the way that you just said that to me doesn't work for me. And for he and I to be able to have an agreement that says we can show up like that for each other, and we're not going to take it personally. Like when I tell him, oh God, don't say that word, or try not to say it in that way, and he cannot take it personally. He can be there standing in the ring of fire as support for me, instead of having a battle of me not feeling like I've been heard, him not feeling like he's been heard. So that's kind of where we're at. And it took until March to come up with a mission statement, or for me to really kind of take a focus. And what I've put in my schedule now is that I work on reading these books and this whole shifting the way away from the trauma foundation to our new healthy, thriving foundation, 30 to 45 minutes every day. If I don't put it in my schedule like that, if I don't become a master of my time, then my time masters me. And we've all been there, and you may still be there, and you may never have come out of where you're mastering your own time. But I also teach that in my coaching stuff as time management. I've been training in that, and it's like a carpenter that never has the stairs finished in his own house, but can finish, beautiful homes for other people. I'm just now really learning how to manage and master my time. So I'll read the mission statement again. Roger and I are wanting to learn to engage in a new, healthier dynamic that is not based in the old patterns of trauma. How do we do this? By a new foundation. How do we do this? By building a new foundation based on healthy ways to interact, communicate, love one another deeply, while still knowing we are individuals that are independent and stand on our own, taking personal responsibility for our own feelings, thoughts, words, and lives. And with that, I will check out. Roger doesn't get home. This is Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. He doesn't get home until Saturday. Sunday. He won't get home until Sunday. He's delivering Saturday, and we leave on Monday. So we do plan on doing videos on our trip. So like, subscribe, share, comment, leave your comments below. I try to engage people. And if you learned anything in this, and if you're learning anything and you have anybody that you want to share it with, please do. We're all about education and growth and getting to the place of thriving and being happy and having joy in our lives. I intend to heal this body. That trauma book really interests me, and it's like a college professor's book. So I hear a frog. Oh, I think it's in the music I'm playing. Don't mind me. Squirrel. Distraction. All right. I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.